Hi, I'm Dave, founder of Halloween Year Round, and today I'm talking about the latest Screambox exclusive movie, Lizzie Lazarus, a movie that oddly feels like Pet Sematary meets Waiting for Godot. This is streaming exclusively on Screambox. You can watch it right now. It is just a weird kind of folk horror, kind of period piece horror drama that, in a way, feels more like a play. I mean, you've got the titular Lizzie, who isn't in it that much. I mean, she's in it the whole time, but she's a dead body, and you have like her boyfriend and her sister attempting to move her to some sacred burial ground to perform some ritual to bring her back, and talking about, well, everything about their relationship with her, some of their baggage with her, philosophy, the implications of what they're doing. It's a movie that feels very indie, and I don't mean that as an insult, I mean that as a compliment, in that it's just mostly two characters talking in the woods, but I was never bored during it. It hangs entirely on the performance of the two leads, Omar Muscati, Leanne O'Shea, and I think they do a really, really good job. For those Better Call Saul fans out there, Omar Muscati played Omar in Better Call Saul. If you remember, he was Jimmy's assistant slash paralegal when he worked at Davison, Maine in season two, which I never realized at the time that his character's name of Omar was the actor's real name. So I was engaged the entire time. I thought that they talked a lot about, you know, philosophy and history. As a history buff, it really interested me, especially given that it's set in 1990 and they're kind of talking about things that are relevant at that time that we now look back on as historical events. We got to talk about the Pet Cemetery connection. Yes, it's borrowing the base premise of, like, we're going to bury her somewhere. They even kind of say it's like an ancient native burial ground. Um but at no point do they actually mention Pet Sematary, which feels a little weird because, again, this is 1990 when the movie's set, and Pet Sematary would have just come out the year before. So the fact that they don't mention it tells me that either, the director didn't want to make the homage too on the nose, or that this is somehow set in a world where Pet Sematary doesn't exist. Either way, I just thought it was weird, especially with, like, all the not meta commentary, but just, like, greater philosophical, historical, even entertainment discussion that our two leads have. At no point does come, "Hey, what we're doing is kinda similar to this really popular movie that just came out last year." As far as, low budget indie horror goes, you definitely feel the limits of it sometimes, but the story operates within those limits, and it doesn't need to be anything more than, like I said, it's waiting for Lizzie, it's waiting for Godot, where they spend the whole time talking about Lizzie, and we, the audience, don't really know her. We see her at the very beginning performing this really weird song number, where she's dead, which is kind of a really interesting, creepy way to open a movie. And without getting into spoilers, it does go in an interesting direction at the end that I dare not spoil, but I kinda saw it coming, but I was okay that it came anyway because the journey was interesting to get there. But really solid performances all around, from our two leads. I mean, like I said, 90% of the movie hangs on them. It's definitely one that I'm glad I saw it. Definitely check it out. It's streaming on Screambox right now. But hey, these are just my thoughts. This is my review. Let me know in the comments, what did you think of it? Did you watch it? Did you like it? What other movies did it remind you of? Do you wish they had referenced Pet Sematary? Because it sort of feels like the elephant in the room, or should I say the creepy zombie cat in the room. Like, share, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff. If you don't, you may end up stuck in the woods carrying a dead body. No, that's not a mafia reference. That's a reference to this movie. And as always, every day is Halloween.